Welcome back to another episode of I Wish They Knew, a show where we share big ideas that deserve more attention in about the time it takes to enjoy a cup of coffee. I'm Joe Hirsch. Today's wish comes from Monica Parker. Monica is the founder of Hatch, a global human analytics and change consultancy. And prior to that, she's been a lot of things: an opera singer, a museum exhibition designer, and even a homicide investigator defending death row inmates. So yeah, she's got resume range. Monica's latest book is The Power of Wonder, the extraordinary emotion that will change the way you live, learn, and lead. And I am all for that. Monica, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
So what do you wish more people knew?
What I wish more people knew is that wonder is not about a moment, it's about a mindset.
Wonder sits right between our curiosity and our awe. And you maintain that both of those, that curiosity and that sense of awe, is all part of this virtuous cycle. Why is wonder so powerful?
Wonder as a word is something of a shapeshifter. So you have the verb to wonder, which would be curiosity, and then you have a noun that would be a wonder that perhaps might be the catalyst for awe. And my goal was to link those two concepts. And so the way that I view wonder, it starts with openness, then moves into curiosity, a deep kind of curiosity, then from that into absorption and presence, and then into awe. And what we know about these emotions and these emotional states and traits is that the more we experience them, the more likely we are to experience them again in the future. And so really it becomes like this upwardly additive cycle, moving through these different phases. And I like to call them watch, wonder, whittle, wow, and woe. And as we have each one of these moments of watching, wandering, whittling, wow, and woe, then the more likely we are to experience them in the future. And it's so incredibly beneficial for us. We know that wonder leads to more pro-social emotions. Pro-social emotions are helping emotions, so it makes us more empathetic, more compassionate, more desirous of helping those around us. It also means that we have more successful relationships with one another. It makes us better bosses, makes us better parents and partners. And if we are lucky enough to experience the self-transcendence of awe, then really it can quite literally change the structure of our brain. And so I think that on balance, wonder is probably one of the most powerful and positive emotions that we can experience both physiologically and psychologically.
And it really deepens that resilience because we're accessing more of our emotions at the same time, correct?
Absolutely. And that's one of the powerful things about wonder is that it is a mixed emotion. We have emotions have valence. So happiness would always be considered positively valence. Fear would always be considered negatively valence. But the thing about wonder, curiosity is duly valenced, that we experience both positive and negative, and sometimes even at the same time. And when that happens, it's almost like a little tug of war in our brain, and our brains really respond positively to that. And it does give us that sense of resilience. And anytime we just have greater emotional vocabulary, what's known as emotional granularity, that also gives us greater resilience, because the better we're able to identify our emotions rather than just saying I'm happy or sad, but really be very granular with those emotional identification, then that also helps us be more resilient.
I wonder how that connects to something you wrote in the book, and it really stuck with me. The idea that in order to experience a larger sense of wonder, we have to make ourselves smaller. Why is that exactly?
That's really the key, the magic to wonder. It's what's known as small self. And whenever we engage in an activity that makes us feel small, that could be something that makes us feel physically small, like seeing the Great Canyon, that makes us feel emotionally small, maybe like seeing our child take their steps for the first time. But anything that makes us recognize that we're just this small component part of a bigger system, of a big universe of people and existence and emotions, then that makes our problems feel small as well. And in doing that, that sense of small self, that's really what drives that pro-sociality, that desire to be of assistance or of help to others. Because when then we feel small and our problems feel small, we recognize how we start to fit into the bigger system, the constellation of our world.
Yeah, so those problems don't seem as big and as hard as they maybe once did.
Yes, it gives us a perspective, a much needed perspective when it's so easy for us to sort of get out of perspective of what's happening in our own life.
So you talk about wonder as this deliberate act, a choice, and you talk about these different types of, you call them wonder bringers, which I love, things we can pursue to experience that sense of wonder. Tell us more about some of those.
Sure. So wonder bringers tend to sort of fall into a couple of different buckets. We can have natural wonder bringers. We can have cognitive wonder bringers, which might be, reflecting on a folded universe. And we can have those emotional or social wonder bringers that are the wonder bringers we get from being with others. But really, it's about identifying what that is for you and doing more of it, which sounds simple, but sometimes simple things are not always easy, if you know what I mean. So
Or obvious.
yeah, it's recognizing what that is and then honoring it. And I think even using the language of wonder bringers with other people. Maybe for you, Joe, it's sitting in a darkened, concert hall listening to opera, and for your partner, it might be going on a hike. And if you sort of reduce those just to being hobbies or things you like, then it doesn't give it the gravitas that really a wonder bringer deserves, because wonder bringers are something that connects deeply to our soul, to our existence as humans, and we need them. We need to seek them out. And I think if we start to be able to use the language of wonder bringers with one another, we do know that wonder shared is wonder multiplied. So the more that we can share it with other people, talk about it, write about it, reflect on it, then it gives us even more. It magnifies that sense of wonder. So I think just having the language and understanding, identifying what brings us wonder, then sharing it with other people, will really help us start to tap into that wonder mindset.
In addition to making it a shared experience, did you uncover anything around the cadence of encountering wonder in our lives? In order to reap these benefits, does there have to be almost a sustained rhythm to this wonderful discovery that we're doing?
Not necessarily sustained, but I do think that practice will help you, like so many other things, that practice will help us start to be able to shift into seeing the world through a wonder lens. We know that there are just certain consistent things that help people find more wonder in their lives. One of those is what I call slow thought. We are in far too much of a hurry. So absolutely, I think slowing down is a pretty good key for anyone. We know that if we're in too much of a hurry, then we'll just race by things that might give us a sense of wonder. We quite literally just don't see it. But also slow thought, ways to slow down the chattering monkey mind and to simply be present. And we can do that through things like a gratitude practice, prayer, meditation. Chalk this up as another reason why meditation is good for us. And that when we're able to slow down our mind as well as our existence, then we're more likely to see wonder. And I mentioned some of the big wonder bringers, right? But my big idea is that it's about a mindset. And so we don't always have to be going out and seeing the Grand Canyon or seeing our kid take their first steps. It can be the perfect sunset, or a perfect fall leaf, or just that song that every time you hear it, it gives you goosebumps. But we have to make it a practice. We have to really allow ourselves to see those things, to view them in their perfect, I guess, banality, in a sense, that they're there and yet there is something so beautiful about them. But it's very easy for us to, in our day-to-day life, just forget these things and miss them, and that, I think, is a great tragedy.
So one of the things so one of the things you mentioned in the book, specifically around this, was this idea of finding time and making space in our lives for these things you call wonder walks, which I really resonated with because my wife and I love walking. We love being outdoors together. And we do find that after those walks through nature, we just feel a lot better. You pointed out some really interesting research around this, around stress reduction. What happens?
Absolutely. Scientists took two groups of people. They had one just go on a walk with no prime, and then the other, they gave them a one sentence prime. They said, "You're going to find something on this walk to feel a sense of wonder about." And they told them to put their phones away. So when we're asked, What makes a wonder walk a wonder walk? You decide it is. Quite literally, it was a one sentence prime. But what they found is that the people who went on the regular walks ruminated about their life. They got caught up in sort of the, what am I going to pack for this trip and what do I have to do at work? Whereas the wonder walkers were very present. They were seeking things to feel a sense of wonder about. And the wonder walkers had significant benefits for up to a week later. They had stress reduction. They had a pro-inflammatory cytokine reduction and blood pressure reduction. And also, what I love is that they had them take selfies before and after the walk, and the wonder walkers had bigger smiles. So it's just like these little ways that we can prime ourselves, and priming is so well researched and so well founded. Simply telling your brain, I want to find this thing. It's a bit like a dog with a bone. It says, all right, you've told me to find it. I'm going to look for it. And so having that prime and taking the time, even just 20 minutes. Other ways to make a wonder walk, novelty. Our brain really notices newness. So if you can take a new journey, a new route, it's helpful. And again, if we can look for the things that make us feel small, so big trees, big vistas helps. But if you can't go big, then you go small. Look for the little details that you might not have noticed otherwise. Really observe little details along the walk, and that will help, again, start to build that wonder mindset and give you those wonder bringers.
So we need the will to wonder.
Yeah, I think you can be slapped across the face with the big wow, and that is unmissable, and certainly that will do it for you. But I think if we want to find it in the quotidian, and we can, then that's about the will to wonder. But I have to tell you a little anecdote. I did interview an astronaut. I was amazed I didn't put it in the book. He said he felt no sense of wonder when he went into space. And I thought, well, goodness, I guess there's some. It's not for everyone. But I think most of us probably are on somewhere on a wonder spectrum where if we were to go into space, we would sort
Man, that person has some pretty lofty expectations, literally.
I was pretty surprised.
Literally. So these are great suggestions for creating these wondrous experiences in our personal lives. I'm wondering about the workplace. Is there a role and a need for leaders to create more wonder at work? And if so, how?
A huge need. And honestly, it was one of the reasons I set out to write this book, is I do change management in my, my day job, so to speak. And I wanted to understand, why are certain people just better at managing change, big change, because, losing your job is an existential crisis, to understand that. And what we know is that wonder at work is so powerful. It's really about the derivatives of wonder. So empathy, humility, compassion, ethics, these are also desired, and these are all derivatives of wonder. And we also know that more humble CEOs, humility being an outcome of wonder, lead stronger teams. They're more effective at collaboration, at decision making. There was also a piece of research that showed a connection between psychedelic use, psychedelics, which is sort of like wonder on steroids, but that leaders who had used psychedelics in the past showed stronger pro-social behaviors. So things like creativity, patience, empathy, compassion, and also some of the work around paradoxical thinking, and that wonder helps us with paradoxical and non-linear thinking.
The book is The Power of Wonder, and the author, and I am filled with wonder after reading this book and talking to her today, is Monica Parker. Monica, thank you for sharing your wish with us today.
Thanks for having me, Joe.